time.
Hey everyone, hope you had an amazing week as usual. Now last week, hopefully you saw me build up my new dirt jump bike as a street trials bike. Well, today I'm going to put it to, well, basically the ultimate test, a test by fire. I'm here down at the Seymour's Trials Arena down in Oxfordshire for the first round of the British Trials Championships. I don't know what I've got myself into today. Now, I have built this bike up as a street trials bike, not a competition trials bike. So yeah, I'm not expecting to win today by any means. And in fact, I'm not entering elite category like I might do on an actual comp trials bike. I'm entering expert route just for a bit of fun. And yeah, to put this bike through its paces. I've already signed on, so I'm just going to do a bit of warming up, make sure the bike is working, and then we're going to go straight into it. While warming up, a wild Euan Beaton, John Shrewsbury and Luke Jones appear. These guys are fun, so I'll join them as we ride the comp. Let's get started. Right, we're straight in at the first section. I think I might guinea pigging this one.
Yeah, can you do that, Ali? Cheers, thanks for that.
I've got my brother filming, which is awesome. We'll see how this goes. I'll be really surprised if I get through one of the first red gates. Now.
This first gate was actually quite difficult for a shorter streety bike. I really wanted to try the rest of the section, so rather than risking falling here, I just take a dab.
No, that's a bit much.
I was confident I could do these next gates, but the section is long, so I had to be fairly quick.
Oh, this looks hard.
I had a plan which I didn't know would work, but I wanted to try it. Risky, but I didn't want to do another strategic dab. The first landing was on a dusty, slippery rock, so by using my momentum and instantly jumping to the next, grippier rock, I reduced my chances of slipping back down. Now there's two ways to do the next gate: drop down and back up the next rock, or jump straight across. Because time is limited, jumping across is quicker, but riskier due to tiredness. Now there's one gate left. This would be fairly easy on a longer comp bike, but with my shorter wheelbase, this was a little trickier. With just 2 seconds left, I made it out. A good start.
50 points.
Brilliant.
Take that.
Well done. Excellent.
Thank you. Oh boy, in at the deep end.
Ali's going first. He's a pathfinder. He's going to take one for the team.
This section had a fun downhill start, a place where my bike is better than a comp bike. Things soon flipped the other way though, with an extremely short run up to static hook. Possibly the one move my bike is the worst at.
Oh, that is short.
I felt like I could get up it if my position was just right, but I ended up leaning too far left, and rather than fight it and risk falling back, I just take the dab so I can move on. And speaking of moving on, I saw a red gate in front of me and assumed that's where I needed to go, when in fact the next gate was back around to my right.
Have I? Oh, jeez, maybe you saw that.
From this angle, I knew my tyres wouldn't grip and I'd most likely slip and fall, so I figured coming from the other side would be better, even if it took longer. The difficulty from this side, that I was on a dusty off camber and the gate was now to my opposite spin direction. But I figured there's just enough grip to jump from, and if I dove my front wheel into the edge, it would grip and allow me to get up and over. Unfortunately, a lack of commitment meant I didn't get my weight far forward as needed. The slacker head angle was definitely a disadvantage here.
I didn't know which way to go. I walked the section beforehand and I saw it. Completely ignored the fact there's a red gate there. Yeah, not easy.
The next section started with 2 tightly spaced gates, which, again with my shorter wheelbase, proved to be tricky. I managed to get through them, but felt I got pretty lucky. I'd have much rather tried a yellow gate here. Those two gates took more energy than I expected, so I needed a rest before the next one. I was confident I could get up, but not when I'm out of breath. Once I was ready, I figured a single hop, then big jump was the best way, keeping to the right, which is the lowest part.
Yes, Sally. Well done, mate.
From there, it was straight to a relatively simple roll up a rock. Now I'm used to having as much run up as I need on the streets and smooth surfaces to bunny hop from, so there's always some doubt when doing a short pedal roll up like this on a bumpy surface. But fortunately, this didn't prove to be an issue. After a roll down a slope, there was another fairly simple gate, but straight after this was the hardest gate of the section. Rather than try to hop up trial style, I thought I'd use the slope to gather speed and use my suspension to my advantage and see if I could kick her straight to the top.
Oh boy, this is disgusting.
I didn't quite get it right though, and that was the end of my section. This next section didn't have anything too worrying other than the last gate. The first gate I felt I could sneak around rather than attacking straight on, which after making sure I wasn't going to slip when taking off, ended up working pretty well for me. There was no sneaking around this next one, but there was a nice looking kicker. I'm so new to this bike, I don't yet know how well it bunny hops, so annoyingly I got taken by surprise a little bit and ended up with a foot down. I'll have it next time. The next gate was a side op if you're good, or a static hook for me. Again, my bike isn't going to be great at these with the suspension, but it did have a nice solid lip on the other side and it wasn't too steep, so I did end up getting through clean. The next two gates are both side ops. Nothing too big, but a little tightly spaced with the flags. The longer chainstays and lower BB on this bike mean it's harder work on the rear wheel, so rather than spend time setting up on the rear wheel, I just do a single hop and go, which even though I did catch the flags, worked out pretty well, and that's then cleaned.
Nice, Ali.
A sneaky line made easy work of the next gate, but then I was left with the last and biggest move, which I knew I couldn't do on this bike, so I decided to dab up it, risking my paintwork in the process.
Come on, Ali, quick, quick, quick. Go, go, go. Yes, Ali. Go. Nice, Ali. Cheers.
The last section of the first 3 laps seemed fairly simple. A couple of red gates in these first few blocks didn't need anything too special to clear them anyway.
Oh my god, it's Ali C! Yeah, it's on red route! He's riding the most inappropriate bike on the red route.
And he's still
Can he make this line? Oh my god, he's so smooth.
Thanks, Andre. Unfortunately, the commentator's curse got me, and a small rock made my front wheel slip. Just one of those really annoying mistakes that we all have every now and then. Next was a bunny hop up, but by now I was getting a feel of the bike and it flew up with no issues. These next 2 gates were pretty fun, nicely spaced for my bike and didn't cause any issues.
Ali C. Oh yes. Nice one, Ali. Yes. I need to get all the way around here.
This next gate was easily the most difficult, with a downhill takeoff and big hop. My low BB meant a hook would be impossible, as I'd hit both my bash and crank on the top, which isn't allowed with these UCI rules.
Oh, unlucky, mate. Yeah. At least you didn't eat the brick. That's good.
I'm happy to have gotten this far though, so smiles all around and on to the next lap.
Thank you very much. Nice one, mate.
What was that?
40? 40?
I'll take that.
That's fine, isn't it? Nice one. Woo!
The next 2 laps had their ups and downs. As I got to know the bike more, my confidence grew and I cleared some gates that caught me out previously. But at the same time, I started to get tired and made new mistakes that should have been avoided. I'm glad I chose red route though. It pushed me and forced some mistakes, but I also finished a few sections. If I'd cleaned everything, then that's a clue I should move up a category. However, yellow route for me on this bike would have just been too hard, and failing everything just isn't fun. And speaking of the bike, what did I think of it? Well, actually, I thought it was great fun. Like I mentioned, it's more set up as a street trials bike, with it being relatively short with a high front end, short stem, dual disc and bigger bash guard. All of this is fine on the streets where bunny hops are easier and being smooth is more important than ground clearance and absolute accuracy. But in comps, the opposite is true, and a comp bike will be much longer with a long stem to give a super stretched out feel, which helps comfort and accuracy on the rear wheel. They'll have rim brakes, on 26 inch at least, for no spoke flex when the brakes are locked, and extremely high BB for ground clearance and rear wheel control. And of course, no suspension. As a result of my geometry, some things were a struggle, but overall, if you want to try trials, then a dirt jump bike can be converted into a fairly decent trials bike with only a change of the gearing and adding a front brake. For me, it was just really fun to get back to an old school style of comp riding where back hops are a last resort and rolling around using kickers and two-wheel control gets results. Like I mentioned at the start, I wasn't going around on my own. Here's John Shrewsbury also riding Red Route, and he's on an equally streety bike, an inspired Hex. Luke Jones was also riding Red Route, but on a much more suitable comp bike where the longer wheelbase really does help. Euan Bearden has swapped from his usual 24-inch street bike to a 20-inch Alias. It's worth noting that he has this bike set up pretty streety too. No doubt these guys have their own stories on how their day went, so I won't put words in their mouths. Let's just spectate instead.
Okay. So many stinging nails! Ow! Oh, that kept going down.
You just kept falling.
It kept falling.
Right, so in third place, Harry Craig. Second place, Harry Little. First place, Alfie Shaw. Well done. Now, White Route Senior. Third place, Liam Brooke Lewis. Second place, Stefan Williams. And first place, Daisy Craig. Now on to green. Third place, William Blackwell. Second place, Ronnie Burge. First place, Nathan Jackson. Now novice senior. Third place, Dave Canton. Second place, Craig Little. And first place, Carl Waitman.
place, Lucasburg. And first place, Ben Shepherd. Intermediate senior on the blue, third place, Kevin Timmins. Second place, Ethan Powell. Winner, Nate Robinson. Red Roots, third place, Ali Clarkson.
Oh.
Three. Second place, Eddie Waitman. And first place, Sam Shepherd. Third place,
Did not expect that.
Man, you're like,
second place, Adam Morwood. And first place, Charlie Rolls. Thank you everybody.
Well, we are all done, and surprise, surprise, this is a genuine surprise. I got third place. I did not think that was going to happen. I did not come here to even get on the podium at all. So to ride the jump bike at a British National and get third place, I am over the moon with that. So thanks so much for joining me. Thanks to everyone here who organised the event. Thanks to anyone who turned up. Awesome to meet some new faces, some old faces. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, all that stuff, and I'll catch you next time where I might just take this thing out on the street and see how it copes there. So thanks for joining me. See you next week.
Subscribe.
See you later.